Meet Hoban Yu, the budget Muhammad Ali who thinks he floats like a butterfly but really just sweeps the gym floor with his face. This kid walks into every fight like he's the main event, only to end up looking like the free entertainment between rounds. Hoban's fists don't sting, they just politely tap like a door-to-door salesman asking if you've got a minute. And while he dreams of championship belts, the only strap he's holding is his busted backpack after another L. To top it off, he's too busy simping over thick thighs in class to realize the only thing thicker than those thighs is his own skull for thinking he's a fighter. In the beginning, we see Paco, the typical bully we see in every high school, and he is kicking off his lunchtime stream, grinning into the camera, announcing that he just hit 700k subscribers and wants to celebrate, and for this special stream he brings in Rumi, a classmate with a small beauty tips channel. She introduces herself politely, explaining she gives makeup advice for students, and today she has brought a model to show her skills. That model turns out to be Hoban, who sits there with makeup on, silently cursing his luck, thinking that if Paco and Rumi are going to use him like a mannequin, they could at least throw him a cut of the revenue. Paco orders Hoban to smile for the camera, adding that one lucky subscriber will get a fancy prize. Hoban mutters under his breath that it's pure bullshit, but the stream rolls on. Afterward, he tries scrubbing the makeup off, but it clings stubbornly, leaving him annoyed enough to want to skip school. He blames Paco, who, despite his trash grades, has 700k subs and a nose for money. Rumi, with only 5k subs, survives off looks. Compared to them, Hoban admits to himself that he has nothing. No brains, no cash, nothing to show. That bitter thought stings more than the makeup. Back in class, Paco's cameraman Snapper takes a cheap shot, kicking Hoban and yelling that he ruined the live stream by not smiling. He beats him around a little, but when Hoban glares back with cold fury, Snapper laughs nervously, saying he looked so scary that anyone would piss themselves. Hoban knows the truth that Snapper is Paco's cameraman, and Paco always shields him, so Snapper gets away with being a prick. That's how this rotten school works. Meanwhile, Rumi checks her numbers and nearly faints. Her revenue spikes to over 30,000 yen from that one stream, but our ugly MC Hoban is floored. They barely did anything during lunch and pulled in a week's worth of his wages in minutes. The unfairness gnaws at him. Maybe he should try YouTube too. Paco explains the system that minors can't cash in, so they need a parent's bank account. Hoban's heart sinks in, thinking that he already stole money once from his parents' savings and got caught. No way can he touch their accounts again. Paco, with his cruel smirk, jokes that since Hoban's mom is still alive but sick, he should just hand over her bank info. Hoban nearly swings at him but holds back for some reason and swallows the rage. Later, Hoban visits his mother in the hospital. She insists she might be discharged soon, but he knows it's just hopeful talk. Outside, her condition will only worsen. He pays her 30,000 yen bill, an entire week's pay from his part-time job. He grinds for 5,000 yen a day, while those streamers pocket the same in a lunch break. The unfairness of life hits him hard. He feels trapped in a cycle of poverty, chained to a cruel reality. Then, his phone buzzes. It's Bomi Choi, the restaurant's darling and his quiet crush. She thanks him for his help, and Hoban feels a spark of joy. He actually talked to Bomi. That joy barely lasts before Paco barges in midstream, turning everything into content again. He challenges Bomi to a ridiculous game. Make a burger with 10 ingredients in 30 seconds or give him her number. Hoban can't stand back. He steps in, throws the burger together in record time, and saves her. People cheer him on. And for a moment, he feels like a hero, but the thought creeps in that tomorrow he'll just be beaten for this at school. Why does he keep stepping in when no one accepts him? Still, he notices Bomi's quiet gaze on him. Later that evening, Snapper squats in Hoban's house, gaming on his computer. A challenge pops up, 30 kills for 30,000 yen. Hoban is shocked, realizing Snapper is streaming from his place, using his mother's account and bank info to pull money. He wonders who throws around cash like that. To top it off, Snapper orders him to cook ramen. Hoban asks if he'll get a share, but before an answer comes, Hoban accidentally unplugs the monitor instead of the PC, killing the display, and the ramen spills on Snapper's face. Hoban, poor Hoban. Snapper snaps, beating Hoban, spitting venom that he's useless, and even blaming him for his mother's cancer. Something in Hoban breaks. He hurls ramen back in Snapper's face and throws his first real punch. The shock of actually hitting someone feels raw but oddly simple. They grab whatever's in reach, books, chairs, random junk, and bash each other while the webcam keeps streaming live. The brawl becomes unintended content. When the chaos ends, Hoban feels every bruise throb. He wonders how much damage his body took, and more than that, how much the hospital bill might be if he collapses. The cycle of money, survival, and misery chains his thoughts. He turns off every light to save electricity, then crashes into bed. The next morning, Snapper calls in a rage, demanding Hoban delete the video immediately. Hoban is confused, thinking the stream ended when he unplugged the cable, but then it hits him. It was only the monitor. The camera never stopped. Their whole fight streamed live. Snapper is panicking, shouting that their fight is online and trending. Hoban checks and sees it himself, over 10,000 comments pouring in. The video has blown up. Yesterday, he was just a loser mocked in class. Now, the entire world is laughing at him. He feels the weight of it. He needs to take it down before it spreads like wildfire. He notices something wild. The video is monetized. Every single view drops in 0.1 yen, and with views flooding in, he runs the numbers and sees a fat million yen coming his way. Back at school, Hoban and Snapper are walking jokes. The whole class is cracking up about their fight, acting like the two clowns of the week. Snapper tries to flip the story by bullying another kid, but the guy wipes the floor with him instead. He glances at Paco for backup, only to see Paco laughing his ass off. That's when it hits Snapper. He's been roasting others all his life, but when the roast lands on him, nobody gives a damn. Meanwhile, Hoban receives his mom's hospital bill, 120,000 yen. The number makes him sweat, but he pays it with shaky hands, comforted by the thought of that million yen waiting for him. Right then, Snapper barges in, throws a punch, and demands half. He whines about being the school clown because of the video, so he deserves compensation. Hoban boots him back, reminding him he already got paid in humiliation. They trade blows again, but this time Hoban isn't the nervous pushover. He shuts Snapper down, telling him to cry all he wants. The money stays his. Snapper then whips out a recording of their second fight. Hoban smirks at the decent shot, muttering he could have done better. Snapper changes his tone, saying he doesn't want beef, he wants a partnership. He brags about once being Pakgo's producer and claims he knows the whole business. Hoban can make the punches look good while Snapper handles the rest, planning, editing, effects. The promise of big money lingers. Snapper offers a cut, but it's a slap in the face. 90% for him, 10% for Hoban, all while pretending it's friendship. Hoban tells him to shove it. He's the face of the channel, so why should the clown behind the camera eat the pie? Snapper keeps pushing until Hoban finally asks what kind of content he even has in mind. Snapper grins like a maniac. His idea is to call the cops and live stream their fight with them, raw and uncut. The guy blowing up online turns out to be just another classmate. Nothing special. Snapper can't believe someone is milking their sudden fame like this, and he definitely doesn't expect to get dragged onto a live stream. Paco makes both him and Hoban wave at the viewers, their hellos shaky and awkward. Snapper pokes at him, asking when Paco is finally going to drop the big moment. Paco pulls a cheap stunt, announcing a fake giveaway, promising a shiny new PC to one lucky subscriber. Of course, it's all smoke and mirrors. Hoban calls him out, saying Paco has zero intention of giving anything away. He shows his bruises, points out how the guy acts sweet on camera but plays thug behind the scenes. He admits he gets beaten often but still shows up to school, and if getting wrecked now puts money in his pocket, then so be it. The room falls silent, jaws hanging. Gayul shrugs off the noise and starts walking away until she hears whispers about Hoban losing it, and Paco might be for the first time, in slight trouble. Snapper thinks Hoban's killing it and suggests they steal Paco's audience. Paco, red with anger but masking it with a grin, suddenly laughs and drops the twist. His phone battery died earlier, so the live stream was already dead. Hoban and Snapper freeze, stunned, right before Paco slaps Hoban across the face, accusing him of plotting revenge. Snapper smirks quietly. He's been live this whole time on his own stream, with the perfect camera angle. New subscribers keep flooding in. He tells Hoban to keep taking the punches, cash will roll in. Hoban wonders if this is what entertainment has come to, people tuning in just to watch someone get pummeled. Then it clicks. The real content is the moment the bullied kid throws a punch back. So Hoban squares up. Paco mocks him for craving pain, while Snapper thinks he's an idiot. If he stayed down, he'd only take a few slaps and walk away. Now he's picking a fight with a tank. Hoban's fear spikes. Paco's arms are massive, tattoos sharp, eyes like blades. Standing against him, Hoban feels like a dry twig ready to snap. Then memory strikes. Paco once insulted his mother, blaming her illness on him. Rage boils over. Hoban swings, but Paco barely twitches. Snapper laughs, reminding him about weight differences. Paco manhandles him, mocking his sick mom, before slamming him so hard the crowd bursts out laughing. Hoban tastes the ugly truth. This isn't a playground scrap. This is survival. Paco rains down fists until a voice cuts through. Kim, the MMA's rising star at their school, tells them to pipe down. His presence alone chills the room. Paco immediately backs off, muttering apologies. Kim warns him to watch his mouth, then goes back to sleep like nothing happened. Paco slinks out, humiliated. Snapper tells Hoban he may have lost the fight but gained a fanbase. Meanwhile, Paco charges his phone at home and realizes his act has already been exposed worldwide. Hoban, soaking in the bath, admits to himself he feels more like prey than predator, but pride lingers. He struck where it hurt. The clip of Paco beating him trends everywhere. Paco scrambles to apologize in a live stream but forgets to edit out a slip where he mocks his own viewers. Fans dig deeper, uncover more lies. Someone even builds a live counter to watch Paco's subscribers nosedive. Before long, Paco's old news, Hoban's the new headline, and there's no going back. The next day, Snapper says their future is fight videos, but there's a problem. Ad money doesn't come from views alone. It needs watch time. He tells Hoban if he wants to make bank, he has to last at least 3 minutes in a fight. Anything less, their YouTube dream dies. Hoban scours the internet for tips, but everything takes too long to learn. He decides he'll just train himself. Then, by chance, he stumbles on a foreign channel. The instructor talks mindset first. Control your emotions, control your fight, piss off your opponent, and you've already got an edge. Then comes technique. Hoban stares in disbelief. The moves look too easy, too clean. He mutters, "This has to be another scam dressed up as free content." Annoyed, he shuts it off and heads to bed. The next day, he quits his part-time job. He knows he'll never cover his mom's bills this way. At the shop, the girls gossip about him leaving. Bomi looks surprised. The boss teases Hoban saying he's famous now, maybe he should start YouTube too. Hoban shoots him a glare, but Bomi says she thinks it's actually cool. She thanks him for standing up to Paco and asks for his number since he's leaving and they might not meet again. The boss sulks as Bomi slips further away from him. At school, Hoban can't hide his glow. Snapper catches it, then laughs, calling him out. How does it feel hitting 100K subs with only 2 videos? Even celebrities struggle to pull that off. Then Snapper gets serious, reminding him about the 3-minute rule. Hoban insists they can't let this chance go, even as Snapper grows uneasy about pushing fight content. Out of nowhere, Romy asks Hoban to guest on her stream. Both boys freeze. Snapper wonders why, since she usually hangs with Paco. Romy says her audience wants it, and she swears she's done with Paco, claiming she never liked him anyway. Hoban lights up, even suggests a double date. Right then, Paco storms in, furious, spitting threats. Hoban remembers Sam Duck's words about control, and suddenly Paco's strikes don't land. Snapper clicks his camera on, smirking that his lens is quicker than Paco's fists, and if the footage goes online, Paco's done. Paco throws threats, Romy trembles but still thanks Hoban for stepping up. The next day, Hoban waits for Snapper, who's late. He thinks fighting is harder than it looks. They can't just brawl with random tough guys forever. At least Bomi keeps his spirits high, texting him nonstop for days, and now suggesting they start calling instead. The thought excites him. Just as he's about to call her, some so-called fans drag him aside. At first, he thinks they want to chat, but they corner him, frisk his clothes, and warn him not to call the cops. Fame has turned him into a walking target. Snapper rushes in but gets flattened in one punch. The thug demands Hoban's phone, saying he doesn't want trouble later. Hoban begs, saying there's something in it worth dying for. Snapper offers his own expensive phone, but the thug rejects it. Snapper leans close and whispers that he's been live streaming since the moment Hoban got dragged away. Their followers are all watching. He tells Hoban this is the perfect shot to go viral. The stream kicks off. Thousands pour in, holding their breath. Everyone's waiting to see if Hoban crashes or climbs. Hoban steps into the karaoke cafe, spotting the thug comfortably seated with his girlfriend, and although he immediately demands the return of his phone, they brush him off with smug expressions, refusing to hand it over. Meanwhile, Snapper quietly positions himself in the background, already live streaming the entire scene with a perfect angle, ensuring every second is captured for the audience. As the tension rises, Hoban recalls Sam Duck's advice about first identifying an opponent's dominant hand, and by keeping to the weaker side, he could avoid taking the cleanest blows. True to form, the thug rises and swings recklessly, his punch coming from the shoulder just as Sam Duck had explained. The fist lands, but Hoban leans his head forward in time, absorbing the impact early on the crown of his skull, which greatly dulls the damage and allows him to remain steady. Remembering to keep his chin tucked, he turns his own head into a shield, reducing the pain further, and begins to realize the strange practicality of the lessons. The thug, however, grows cockier with every swing, raining down punches with loud bravado, while Hoban, staying nimble, keeps dodging in quick movements. Even when one punch connects, it does not sting nearly as much, which eases his fear and slowly builds a sharper confidence. Snapper, still behind the camera, is left baffled as he watches Hoban endure hit after hit. unable to understand why his friend insists on tanking blows like a bull. Hoban, on the other hand, regrets not watching more training videos beforehand, knowing he only has one real technique to rely on and no backup plan. Snapper begins worrying that the fight is dragging too long and losing excitement, fearing viewers might drop off since their earlier brawl with Pago had been short, brutal, and instantly viral. Yet the comments rolling in change everything. Viewers point out that the thug's fists are starting to swell, remarking that if someone keeps punching a body like a heavy bag, eventually it's their own hands that give out. And just as predicted, the thug winces in pain, his knuckles inflamed, until finally he collapses in agony, screaming about his hands, unable to believe how Hoban is still standing. At that moment, Hoban's expression hardens into something fierce and almost intimidating, while Snapper mutters under his breath that the medical bills they've racked up might cost more than whatever views this fight will generate. Nevertheless, Hoban retrieves his phone, immediately replies to Bomi, and is stunned to realize she has been watching the live stream all along. The uploaded fight blows up quickly, surpassing 1 million views within a week, pushing their channel to 4 total videos with a staggering 25 million views combined. When their first YouTube payout finally arrives, the screen shows an enormous sum, 20 lakh rupees. Hoban is shocked at how low it seems for so many views, but Snapper patiently explains that delays in approval and limited ads cut into the revenue, insisting that 20 lakhs for a first payment is actually impressive. Hoban, who always assumed views alone made money, learns that it is really the ads that count, and Snapper warns they got lucky since no yellow mark hit the video. If YouTube had flagged it for violence, the income would have been zero. Before Hoban can process it, Romy bursts in with her own live stream, ketchup stains splattered across her clothes for attention. The moment she spots Hoban surrounded by massive view counts, her instincts kick in, and she rushes after him, clearly eager to steal subscribers. Snapper shouts in panic, telling Hoban to run before she drains their fanbase, and the two bolt out of sight, dodging her like thieves escaping the police. Later, once Hoban finally pauses to catch his breath, a sleek jacket displayed in a shop window catches his eye. From its design, he assumes it must cost 30 to 40,000 won, but the price tag shocks him. It's only 14,000. He mutters that at this rate he could buy 100 of them, yet when he turns to share the moment, Snapper is nowhere beside him. Looking back through the glass, he spots Snapper already at the counter, casually pulling out his card to buy it without a second thought. Hoban is stunned, realizing his friend treats luxury as if it were completely normal. For him, however, the idea of spending that much on clothing feels extravagant, so even though he could probably afford it, he chooses to walk away, deciding a jacket is not worth burning through his hard-earned cash. Hoban gets a message on his phone that lights him up. A cut later, he is at the park, pacing nervously with the same jacket he swore he wouldn't buy. Deep down, he knows exactly why he bought it, and the answer walks right up to him. Bomi shows up late, looking fresh, and the first thing she notices is how their outfits almost match. His face heats up instantly, because now it's obvious. He got the jacket just for her. While standing there, Hoban's mind drifts. He has always felt like the underdog, too short, not smart enough, not good at sports, not loaded with cash. His whole life feels like one long punchline, and the joke is usually on him. He once looked up to fighters like Paco and even admired Munsong from afar, but never had the guts to talk to them. Now, with Bomi in front of him, the usual shame doesn't weigh as heavy. Bomi's voice pulls him back to reality, and suddenly he's thinking less about popularity and more about how badly he wants time to freeze whenever he is with her. They start walking through the park, brushing hands by accident. She apologizes, but Hoban is already lost in his fantasies. Marriage, kids, the whole dream sequence, until his imaginary daughter smacks him back into reality. At the cafe, things get awkward fast. Hoban answers her questions like he is reading a grocery list, short and flat. Bomi starts to lose patience because the boy who runs his mouth on live streams suddenly turns into a cardboard cutout in person. She gets up, ready to leave, but Hoban blurts out the truth in a messy rush. He has never been on a date, never even talked face-to-face with a girl. His hobbies are embarrassing and his social life is non-existent. He admits he just wants to sit there with her, but every time he looks at her, his nerves fry his brain. Bomi doesn't know whether to laugh or hide her face. Hoban is sweating buckets, but he even manages to drop a smooth line about sitting by the window so the sun wouldn't hit her. Somehow, his messy honesty wins her over. As they leave together, a girl in a yellow jacket watches them closely, muttering under her breath. Later in the park, Bomi gets a call and says an old friend is coming by. His name is Munsong Kim. The name alone freezes Hoban's blood. Munsong, the MMA beast he has always feared, just happens to be Bomi's buddy. Hoban tries to play it cool, acting like they are tight, but Munsong himself shows up right on cue. Bomi greets him with a smile and says Hoban just claimed they were close. Moonsong stares straight through him, repeating the words like a challenge. The timing couldn't be worse, and Hoban knows he's officially screwed. Hoban told Bomi that Kim was his good friend, but the truth is they're not even close. He has always lived by one simple rule as a loser: never fake friendships. Yet in trying to look like a knight in front of Bomi, he broke his own code, and now the bill is due. Bomi flashes her smile and nudges the idea that the two boys must be tight. Hoban is about to come clean, but Kim steps in smoothly, claiming they're classmates, which automatically makes them friends. Hoban's brain almost short-circuits. The MMA prodigy actually knows he exists? That surprise doesn't last long. Kim asks for his name, fumbling like he can't remember. Hoban claps back, saying that if Kim can't even recall his name, then calling them friends is a stretch. Kim scratches his head, pieces it together, and finally calls him Hoban. He even points out that Hoban's that YouTuber kid. To top it off, Kim notices they're both rocking the same jacket. It's awkward, but at the same time, Hoban feels a stupid little spark of happiness. For once, he isn't completely invisible. The three of them end up strolling through the park, and Hoban throws out the kind of question no sane man should ask. Who looks better standing next to Bomi, him or Kim? The answer is written on every face in the park. Even toddlers know Bomi looks far better with Kim. Hoban feels like the unpaid extra in his own life. The embarrassment burns so hot he fakes a toenail injury and bails, muttering that staying any longer might actually kill him. Bomi doesn't hide her disappointment when he leaves. Meanwhile, Snapper is off on his own stream until he finds Hoban and lays into him, roasting him for acting like a moron. Snapper tells him straight, if Hoban keeps pulling stunts like this, no girl will ever want him. Hoban fires back full of self-pity, saying Snapper doesn't get it. He says standing next to Kim makes him feel like a stubby, ugly pig, while Kim looks like a tall, clean-cut model. He compares himself to a crushed toenail. In his mind, he and Bomi live on two completely different planets. Snapper, always acting like some discount philosopher, tells him love is like a fight. You only lose when you tap out too early. He explains that if Hoban quits before trying, he's already lost. Snapper reminds him who actually invited him out, who sat with him at the cafe, and who spent time on him. He tells Hoban to wake up. If Bomi wanted Kim, she would have left with him already. When Hoban walked away, she looked sad because she wasn't after Kim at all. She was looking at Hoban. Hoban's eyes water, touched by the speech. Snapper smirks and plays the loyal friend card, saying that if he doesn't push him, then who will? Fired up, Hoban sprints back to Bomi, not realizing Snapper is just hyping him up for content. Behind the camera, Snapper already dreams up a title. Confession ends in brutal rejection. Watch until the slap. Hoban finds Bomi again, and she asks if his injured toenail has recovered. He laughs it off, and Kim excuses himself, saying he has training. That moment cracks Hoban's paranoia wide open. Kim wasn't on a date with Bomi at all. He realizes he overthought everything. Before Kim leaves, he even compliments Hoban, saying he watched the videos and caught on to his fighting tactics. That little nod from an idol almost feels like oxygen to Hoban's lungs. After Kim leaves, Hoban and Bomi sit on a bench. She asks if he came back because he had something to say. Hoban stammers, then nervously asks what kind of guys she likes. Bomi keeps it simple. She likes guys who are honest. That answer shakes him. For once, he thinks maybe he should just spit out the truth about his feelings. He starts, but right before he can, he yanks Snapper out of the bushes, catching him live streaming the whole thing. Snapper's face is bruised and Hoban instantly notices. That's when Paco and his goons appear. Paco mocks him, thanking Snapper for the stream that led him right to Hoban. He grabs Bomi, still bitter that she rejected him earlier, and sneers at Hoban for being the guy she'd rather be with. Hoban remembers Sam Duck's advice about staying calm and tries to roast Paco into losing his temper. He calls him fat, daring him to get humiliated again. Paco charges, but this time he's smarter. He watched Hoban's streams too, so he knows the tricks. He switches angles, smashing Hoban from below. Sam Duck's words ring out again. Only fools repeat the same move. The punches rain down, and Hoban crumbles under the weight. His face balloons with bruises, but even then, he begs Paco to let Bomi go. That courage makes the girl in the yellow jacket flinch in shock. Paco, grinning, orders Hoban to humiliate himself on stream. He demands Hoban strip and beg. The humiliation cuts deep. Bomi is right there, watching. She even slaps Paco across the face, showing more guts than Hoban can muster. Furious, Paco forces Snapper to turn the camera away, not wanting to get banned for hitting a girl on live. Hoban, desperate, starts stripping anyway, saying if that's the price, then fine. Paco panics when Hoban keeps going, worried the livestream will get nuked. That's when Kim storms in like a thunderbolt. He stops Hoban, unleashes hell on Paco's crew, and leaves them in the dirt, begging for mercy. Paco tries to talk his way out, but Kim shuts him down with one brutal punch. Kim checks on Bomi, who says she's fine, but insists Hoban isn't. She walks away with Kim, her eyes still clouded with worry. Hoban, however, feels only shame, gut-wrenching shame. The girl in the yellow jacket watches with tears in her eyes. Later, Hoban collapses into a spiral of depression. He remembers how happy he used to be, how somewhere between his father leaving and Paco's endless bullying, his joy was stolen. He never understood why he was targeted, but the result is the same. Fear rooted so deep he can't even speak properly around people. Days pass. Snapper live streams with Pago, but the energy is hollow. Snapper keeps thinking of Hoban, who hasn't shown up at school. He wants to apologize, but Hoban ignores every call, even Bomi's. At home, Hoban finds himself glued to Sam Duck's videos. He watches the lessons on how ordinary people can survive fights, then throws himself into training. His body aches, his lungs burn, but he doesn't stop. Sam Duck's voice plays in his head. It isn't books or videos that make someone change. It's the fire burning inside. Hoban pushes harder, breaking himself down piece by piece, determined to rebuild into someone unrecognizable. Hoban disappears from school for a whole month, and the gossip doesn't stop. His classmates whisper that after what went down, there's no way he has the guts to show up again. For a nobody from Kailash High to suddenly blow up online is less of a win and more of a cosmic joke. Meanwhile, Snapper scrambles to shake off the association. The moment anyone hints that he's close with Hoban, he swears up and down that it isn't true. He even tries to flip the subject, bragging about his so-called skills as a producer. But Paco doesn't let him off the hook. He strolls in, smirks, and calls Snapper out on his bullshit. Snapper fumbles, claiming he was only Hoban's business partner, never his friend. Before he can finish his little self-defense speech, Paco drills him in the face. The crowd piles on, roasting Snapper as a backstabber. Deep down, Snapper admits they're right. He sucks up to anyone stronger just to survive. He can't fight, he's bad at school, and he's got zero backbone. All he knows is latching onto power like a leech. His eyes water as he realizes he really is trash. Paco doesn't care. He fires up a live stream, back on camera like nothing happened, announcing his comeback with his usual cheap swagger. His channel, once in the gutter, now sits at 900,000 subscribers, and somehow the idiots keep watching. Viral hits numbers, on the other hand, sink fast. If this keeps up, Hoban's channel will be dead. Even so, a few fans hold out hope for Hoban's return, but Pago plots ahead, chasing the magic 1 million mark. He throws Snapper a deal, bring Hoban in, and he can be the cameraman again. Snapper doesn't even resist for long. Selling out his so-called friend for scraps of clout feels dirty, but he convinces himself it's better than being left with nothing. Later, Snapper visits Hoban's mom at the hospital, pretending to be a caring classmate. She believes him, even hands over Hoban's address, saying Hoban had told her he finally found a real friend. The words sting, but Snapper pockets the paper anyway, smiling like a rat. Soon after, Paco beats him bloody for failing to deliver. Swollen and broken, Snapper's forced on camera to beg Hoban not to show up. Off-screen, he remembers Hoban's mom calling him her son's first true friend. The guilt hits harder than Paco's punches, but Hoban doesn't listen. He's already watching, already walking into the trap. He hands his phone to Snapper, livestream running, and tells him to do his job. Facing Paco, Hoban declares the next viral hit episode will be about how to take down an ordinary man. The fight begins. Hoban uses the techniques he learned, dropping low, shifting positions, striking sharp. Paco laughs, thinking nothing works on him, but Hoban isn't repeating old mistakes. He unleashes calf kicks, the kind that don't show their damage immediately but eat away over time. Paco doesn't notice until it's too late, but he still comes swinging. Hoban remembers Sam Duck's words: if your opponent outclasses your body, retreat and wait for the opening. So he runs, circles, stays alive. Then, when Pago braces for another kick, Hoban switches it up. A sudden, brutal punch to the face. His knuckles split. Pago crashes to the ground, and the room falls silent. The bullies tense up, but Snapper finally grows a spine, screaming at them not to touch Hoban. The truth is, nobody's scared of him. They're scared of Munsong standing behind him. Munsong simply nods at Hoban, telling him without words that he fought well. Paco vanishes after that, too ashamed to show his face. Hoban finally breathes, realizing he landed the hit that mattered. He even hopes Paco's channel dies for good. Slowly, subscribers migrate over, and soon Hoban earns YouTube's silver play button. He visits his mom, proudly showing it off. She smiles, saying a school friend of his had visited earlier, a boy named Munsong. Hearing this, Snapper, eavesdropping outside, breaks down. To him, it feels like betrayal, like Hoban chose someone else as his true friend. When Hoban walks out, Snapper confronts him, calling him a traitor and swinging a punch. But Hoban dodges without effort, smirking as he tilts his head. His calm posture says it all. Snapper can swing all he wants, but Hoban is far beyond his reach now. Snapper keeps insisting that if they want the channel to grow, they need an editor. Hoban thinks it's unnecessary since Snapper is already editing, but Snapper admits he's just a rookie who learned by watching others. He says people will get bored if every video looks the same, and that's why they need someone skilled to bring the videos to life. Hoban likes the idea, but wonders how they're supposed to hire someone. Snapper calls job sites outdated and says they'll recruit live, right there on stream. They announce it to their viewers, asking anyone interested to comment with their background, though Snapper admits he doesn't expect much. As expected, the chat fills with bizarre replies, and Hoban mutters that these clowns clearly aren't editors. Snapper already knew it. Then, out of nowhere, the old man who once schooled Hoban on fighting drops a comment. Snapper rolls his eyes, saying the man probably can't even use editing software, but Hoban insists they should at least meet him. Snapper grumbles about his age, but Hoban brushes it off, saying skills matter more than wrinkles. The old man calls them useless kids, and Snapper snaps back, demanding his contact details so they can interview him. Later at school, Snapper asks if the guy followed up, and Hoban confirms he did, though the man seems old-fashioned. Snapper wants to block him, but Hoban reminds him they promised an interview. When Snapper asks where the meeting will be, Hoban says the guy is coming straight to school. Snapper panics, saying the man might lecture them for being troublesome brats. But when the so-called old man shows up, it turns out to be Gayul, a first-year girl with a sharp tongue. She mocks them for judging her without meeting her and demands they start the interview. The group is stunned. One boy points out that she's famous for her cuteness, while another says she's not popular in class since she talks like someone's granddad. Snapper realizes this cute girl is the old man they'd been mocking. When Snapper touches her hand, his mind runs wild, picturing a future with her, flowers after work, and even naming his dog after Hoban. The daydream shatters when the imaginary dog bites him back to reality. Gayul interrupts, asking if he's even paying attention. She says she's already edited one of their videos, their 150 subscriber celebration, and shows them the work. Snapper falls for her style immediately, but Hoban insists on checking properly. They notice she even included viewers' funniest comments, making the video more lively. Still, Hoban feels something's off, until they see she also slipped in a clip of him in his underwear. Mortified, Hoban yells that she's hired on the spot. He asks why she chose them when she clearly has the skills to go anywhere. Gayul remembers Hoban's courage and says she wants to work with him. Meanwhile, outside an arcade, chaos erupts when a boy beats up several people after losing a game. Asked about it, he casually demands 101. At Hoban's house, Snapper explains that this guy is Tahio Sejong from Gangbuk High, once an MMA fighter until he was expelled for causing too many problems. The rumor goes that every student at Gangbuk has taken a beating from him at least once. Hoban finds it insane but wants to know more. Snapper reveals that Tahio has trained since childhood, with his main base in Taekwondo. Hoban scoffs, saying Taekwondo is weak compared to other martial arts. He claims anyone can just catch the kicks and throw the fighter down. Gayul cuts in, roasting them for their ignorance. She says only an idiot thinks Taekwondo is useless. Sport Taekwondo focuses on points, but combat Taekwondo is a whole different beast, designed for knockouts. She explains that tests once compared kicks from different martial arts. Muay Thai peaked at 209 km/h with 635 kg force, Capoeira at 160 km/h with 816 kg force, but Taekwondo left both in the dust with 219 km/h and 1043 kg force. Snapper almost drops his jaw when he realizes Taekwondo is no joke, and for once he admits it out loud. Hoban tries to brush it off, saying this fight has nothing to do with him, but the reminder hits him. Their channel is built on fighting bullies, and the next name on the list is Taehoon. The info comes pouring in from the viewers, and suddenly, Hoban is drowning in details about how dangerous Taekwondo really is. Gayul lays it all out like she's reading a death sentence. This isn't some playground scuffle. It's a discipline so sharp and precise that even professional fighters respect it. A clean shot could shut down a fight before it even begins, and the back kick? It's the kind of move that makes your spine shiver just thinking about it. Hoban realizes this isn't just another street thug, it's a legit fighter. He's rattled, almost whining to himself that maybe they should pick another challenge before this one buries him. Snapper, of course, throws salt on the wound by reminding him the viewers would roast them alive if they backed out now. Inside, Hoban admits he doesn't even know how to fight, but the same people cheering for his downfall might also be the ones handing him the key to survive. Then comes the legend of Taehoon, the so-called devil of Gangbuk High. The story paints him less like a bully and more like a sadistic freak. The guy doesn't just win fights, he toys with people's dignity, dragging their friends into his mess just to make the pain hit deeper. He doesn't even care about the things he steals, he just wants to see you crumble. Hoban reads enough to feel his guts turn. He can't fight someone who kicks above his head like he's swatting flies. He promised to fight bullies. not a professional martial artist built like a nightmare. Meanwhile, Gale loses her temper and says she'll take Taehoon down herself. Hoban doesn't even bother hiding his disbelief. He knows picking a fight with some random psycho, just because another stranger warned them, makes no damn sense. But Taehoon himself shows what kind of monster he is. When a group tries to get payback on him, he doesn't just beat them, he humiliates them, asking for arcade change in the middle of the fight. His kicks are brutal. His mockery is worse, and he drags the beating on long enough to make grown men beg like kids. He robs them, taunts them, then demands ridiculous sums just to keep twisting the knife. Snapper captures it all on camera, shaken to his core, whispering that the rumors were all true. Of course, Taehoon notices. The moment his eyes land on Snapper, it's like death itself glanced his way. Snapper bolts, barely breathing when he makes it back. Hoban warns him to stay cautious, but then, as if the devil was listening, Taehoon himself appears. Hoban freezes, already writing his own obituary in his head. Snapper fumbles an excuse about filming because he liked the guy's moves, and for once, Hoban is grateful his friend has a silver tongue. He tells himself survival matters more than pride, because there's no world where he can take this guy on. And just as they might wriggle free, Gayul storms in, shouting like she's about to be a hero. Hoban nearly loses his mind, knowing her hot head will turn this into another disaster like Bomi's mess. But when even Gayul gets close enough to Taehoon and freezes, shaking like a leaf, Hoban knows this is their only chance to run. But Taehoon isn't letting go. He smirks and calls them out directly, saying he knows exactly who they are. Viral Hit has been running its mouth, and now the devil wants proof. He demands to see their channel, not as a fan, but as someone ready to rip them apart for it. Taehoon demands a measly 100 yen from Hoban, and when that doesn't cut it, he starts roughing up Snapper. Hoban just stares, wondering what the hell this guy even wants. Beating people bloody for pocket change? Does Taehoon really see people as nothing more than playthings? The bastard smirks, saying Hoban should hurry up and hand his channel over. Hoban feels the distance. Too far. Too untouchable. He throws out some desperate calf kicks, but Taehoon brushes them off and plants a brutal kick right into his face. Hoban follows with a wild overhead hook, but it's useless. Broken down and drained, he mutters that Taehoon can take the channel. The crowd freezes, shocked. Hoban thinks he's done. Taehoon always goes after friends, crushing pride until surrender is the only escape. A sharp slap from Taehoon stings his face, and the psycho sneers at him for even trying. Later, Hoban replays it in his head. He tells himself it was the only way. If he hadn't agreed, Taehoon would have torn them all apart. The cops should handle lunatics like him, but then the thought twists inside him. No, he can't give up the channel. Even if it kills him, it's not an option. Snapper calls him out. First wanting police, now this. No pride at all? Hoban snaps back, spitting that pride doesn't fill stomachs. Pride doesn't stop broken bones. Paco was just a street thug, but Taehoon is a polished pro. Every move Hoban practiced so hard was countered like child's play. Fear crawls through him, but he admits it. Being scared doesn't make him wrong. He apologizes, telling Snapper to do whatever he thinks best. Gayul arrives. Hoban tells her to watch Snapper and walks off. She checks on Snapper, who brushes it off with fake bravado, claiming he could have beaten Taehoon if he wasn't worn down. Then he softens, asking her to leave him alone. As she goes, tears pour. Snapper curses his own weakness. He wanted to impress her, but now she must see him as pathetic. Hoban hears everything from outside, remembering his own humiliation with Bomi. At the arcade, Taehoon wastes time on games. Hoban challenges him inside the machine and wins. He mocks Taekwondo, saying it's boring and all he needs is to piss off his opponent. He blurts out a challenge. 1 month, a fight. His chest tightens with dread. He's provoking a trained killer. Taehoon grabs his collar, growling threats, then smashes the arcade machine to bits. The deal is set. 1 month, Hoban chooses the place. Later, Hoban spills everything at the hospital. Gayul is pissed, telling him she'll crush Taehoon herself if he loses, throwing in a cocky calf kick joke. Snapper shakes his head, asking why Hoban even bothered, since he never wanted this fight. Hoban doesn't explain. He just remembers the pain of weakness. He walks off to train. Sam Duck greets him, announcing lesson 3. This time, it's something different. Find a spare power strip. He promises that an ordinary guy can take down a Taekwondo master. He knows, because he's done it before. Sam Duck starts by reminding Hoban of the last lessons, the calf kick and the overhead hook, before moving on to the third. This time, he says, it's about how to beat a Taekwondo fighter. Right away, he makes it clear. It's basically impossible. A single back kick can leave someone half dead. Their footwork is sharp, their kicks are brutal, and an average guy stands no chance. At first, Hoban is stunned, since he has never heard his teacher sound this grim. However, Sam Duck adds a twist. Inside a ring, Hoban can't win. But outside, that's where things change. He explains that he isn't teaching martial arts. He's teaching survival. If Hoban wants even the slightest chance, he has to make sure Tae-hoon can't use his legs, so he needs to control the battlefield. Rain, mud, slippery ground, any of that can throw Tae-hoon off. Martial arts always depend on the environment, and Taekwondo is no exception. Because of this, Hoban realizes he needs a spot where Tae-hoon can't rely on kicks. Maybe somewhere slick, maybe during a storm. Then suddenly, it clicks. He'll fight on a rainy day. With the idea set, training officially begins. First, he has to polish his old moves, then add new ones on top. Since calf kicks don't need much space, they could give him an edge if Tae-hoon can't unleash his long-range kicks. From that point on, Hoban trains day and night, pinning all his hope on the rain. Even so, Samduk doesn't let him get carried away. He says Hoban only has a 5% chance at best. But then he points out one move that could boost it to 40%, the tackle. Fighters who live off kicks hate getting dragged down. Therefore, Hoban needs to build his core, like steel, and instead of gym gear, Samduk chooses water training. With resistance, Hoban can build stamina, lungs, and muscle power all at once. Later on, Snapper and Gaul show up at his house. Snapper is already streaming live. They walk in and see Hoban hanging inside a closet, straining his body. Immediately, Snapper starts yelling, while Gaul calmly reminds them they're here to film his training since the channel can't stay idle. Then she spots some trash bags lying around. At that moment, Samduk's voice comes in, saying Hoban's odds are now at 40%, but ab training could push it to 50%. Snapper scoffs, calling it useless, but Gail quickly shuts him down. She explains that Taekwondo back kicks are lethal. Even a light touch can destroy someone. If Hoban wants to live through them, he needs abs like armor. To prove her point, she kicks Hoban in the stomach over and over, toughening him up. Meanwhile, Snapper watches with envy, wishing he could be in Hoban's place. Finally, the big day arrives. By now, Hoban has prepared a narrow alley near his home, one where Tae-hoon won't be able to stretch his legs properly. On top of that, he checks the forecast. It's supposed to rain. If the ground gets wet, Tae-hoon's kicks lose their edge. So Hoban prays for the clouds to deliver. Unfortunately, Snapper crushes his hope, saying the weather forecast has been wrong for weeks. That means no rain today. Immediately, Hoban panics and runs off. Meanwhile, on the live stream, Tae-hoon laughs, already counting his prize money. But then, Hoban comes back carrying water bottles. Without hesitation, he splashes the ground, even soaking Tae-hoon. If the sky won't give him rain, then he'll make his own. The ground turns slick, just as planned. Confident, Hoban dives in for a tackle. However, Tae-hoon slams him back with a vicious strike and mocks his efforts. Hoban's vision starts blurring as the punches pour in. Snapper despairs, saying all that training went to waste. Still, Hoban refuses to fold. Even half broken, he plants a calf kick into Tae-hoon. Thanks to his water shoes, he can grip the wet ground while attacking. Pain floods his body, but he tells himself to endure. All he needs is 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes to prove he isn't going down that easy. Hoban remembers the last time he fought Pak, when he somehow kept distance and survived. This time, Tae-hoon reads him like an open book. One clean punch from Tae-hoon rattles him, and the chat starts roasting. Someone points out that Tae-hoon isn't Pak, and if Hoban doesn't fix his sloppy footwork, he's done for. For the first time, Hoban gets it. Footwork isn't just movement, it's survival. Tae-hoon looks like he's slipping, but it's all a setup, his body closing in with surgical precision. Another viewer reminds everyone that pros live on a different planet. Hoban should have known this guy isn't just a kicker. His footwork alone is a nightmare. Hoban admits to himself there's no running, but he's worked too hard to fold now. He fires back with calf kicks. Tae-hoon's fists are way too fast to guard, so Hoban keeps spamming calf kicks even though his stamina bar is tanking hard. The snapper in the chat rolls his eyes at Hoban, yelling out his move like a damn video game character, warning him he'll collapse if he keeps this up. He wonders if Hoban is baiting Tae-hoon, pretending it's another calf kick, then switching it up. Right as Tae-hoon prepares for another leg strike, Hoban dives in with a tackle. Samduk shakes his head, saying Hoban still looks shaky. Last time his tackle failed because it was half-assed. A real tackle means grabbing behind the knees and dragging with intent. Hoban follows through, and shockingly, Tae-hoon goes down. The snapper immediately senses something's off. Tae-hoon doesn't just fall like that. Samduk claims Hoban now has over 50% chance to win, but warns him not to waste it. Against a pro, there's no second try. He reminds him of the cross choke, the spiderweb grip on the collar, hands locking in a cross, pressure crushing the windpipe, 10 seconds to lights out. Hoban locks it in. But Tae-hoon laughs, saying his legs don't have the juice, like this is his first playground fight. The choke collapses. Hoban remembers Samduk's first rule: control emotions. A rookie who loses focus loses everything. He admits he trained a month, but let nerves wreck his basics. Taehoon actually gives him some credit, saying the transition from tackle to choke shows effort. But then another viewer drops the truth. Taehoon went down on purpose. Taehoon confirms it, hinting at his own game. Hoban realizes he hasn't landed real damage yet. Another subscriber reminds him no pro gets dropped that easy. If Hoban thought a content creator could beat a pro clean, he's delusional. Sam Duck doubles down. The only way a regular guy beats a Taekwondo fighter is by shutting down his kicks. Otherwise, the smart play is to run, because once those legs get loose, they land like a truck. Taehoon smirks and says the warm-up's over. His kicks are online now. Meanwhile, Kim watches the viral hit stream. She complains that Hoban hasn't been answering calls, but still keeps sneaking glances. Suddenly, Hoban slams his opponent to the floor, and she blurts in shock, pretending she wasn't watching. Someone asks if Hoban already sealed the win, but another says he botched it. She nags about the phone being off, only to be told to switch it on again. The snapper mutters it's better if she doesn't watch. He yells at Robin to wake up, explaining the obvious. Taehoon let those moves happen just to snag his shoe. Hoban grumbles about wasting a whole month of training, saying all that sweat now feels pointless. From the start, the odds were 0, so he apologizes in his head to everyone watching. Meanwhile, the subscribers are hyping him up, begging him to keep swinging. Snapper reminds him this was supposed to be about making money. Hoban drags himself up, thinking he already has people rooting for him. He recalls his master's words. Taekwondo fighters unleash full force only when both legs are free. Snapper notes. Tan's stronger leg is the right one, but since he strapped a water shoe on that side, he'll likely kick with the left to avoid slipping. Hoban convinces himself he can go for a tackle and choke, but suddenly the gap feels impossible. Sam Duck cuts in with the reality check. A regular guy only wins if the kicks never come out. If they do, it's game over. One vicious kick slams into Hoban. His vision turns fuzzy, and he can barely breathe. He wants to counter, but Taehoon starts unloading on him, strike after strike. Sam Duck mutters that all that training is pointless once a Taekwondo fighter's legs get into rhythm. Every angle becomes a threat. Taehoon toys with him, stomping lightly on his right foot, warning he didn't press hard enough to break it. Snapper screams for him to cut it out. Sam Duck explains that predicting strikes is deadly, and the back kick is the most dangerous weapon in that arsenal. Taehoon fires one straight into Hoban, telling him he's lucky it wasn't the right leg, or he'd be a corpse already. He mocks Hoban's skinny frame, hinting bones might already be cracked. Then he promises to end it according to the deal. Snapper tries to change the subject, saying working together will be fun and asking about future content, but Hoban snaps inside, deciding this is no game. Back kicks are lethal, and the only way to live through them is to harden the body. He recalls the third lesson of how to fight. A normal guy beats a Taekwondo fighter only by shutting down the kicks. The stream chat is locked in. Snapper begs him to quit, asking if money is worth dying for. Hoban remembers Snapper's sad look and realizes this isn't even about cash anymore. Taehoon laughs at Hoban trying to box himself in between walls, mocking him for thinking it would block the kicks. He promises to prove it. He spins for another back kick, but Hoban clutches a gate bar, dodges at the last second, and slams him down. For once, he escapes the back kick, and now everything rides on one move. He tightens his focus on the choke. Kim remarks this time, it's clean, a textbook baseball choke. Hoban may barely stand 5'7" and 50 kilos soaking wet, but suddenly that supposed toy has Tan feeling powerless and humiliated. It's the same taste Tan felt the first time he ever broke down in defeat. He taps out, the most degrading moment for a fighter. The so-called devil just lost to a toy. Snapper yells that Hoban already won and begs him to stop. Kim points out the match would have ended if this were a ring, but this is no ring. Hoban, high on adrenaline, doesn't even notice the tap. His ears are filled only with his own pounding heartbeat. Sam Duck warns that fate fights aren't the same as sports. The opponent isn't done until he's out cold. Once the choke is locked, the count to 10 is mandatory. Otherwise, the monster rises again. Tan finally blacks out, and Hoban takes the win. Tan drifts back to his memory of losing to Kim in an official match, then regains awareness. Snapper urges everyone to leave fast, but Tan suddenly sits up, sending a jolt of fear through them. He grips their throats, threatening death, then unexpectedly returns a precious item he had picked up, saying he only kept it safe. After that, he slams one of them against the wall, shouting that they're a pain. He admits defeat but warns them never to appear before him again. Hoban breathes relief, saying they survived and should go. But Hoban is drenched in sweat, which bothers him. He panics about girls hating the stench, but luckily they have body spray. He shamelessly promotes it mid-victory, urging everyone to try it. They celebrate together, and Hoban closes the viral hit stream, leaving the editing to the pros. Gale edits the footage and can't believe how badly Hoban got battered. She admits she genuinely worries about him, yet the video unexpectedly blows up, pulling 3 million views and pushing their channel to 190k subs. Snapper and Hoban shower her with praise. Hoban admits he never imagined that video would drag them into massive trouble. Robin takes beating after beating but refuses to quit. In the end, he finally digs deep, locks a choke around Taeyeon, and squeezes until Taeyeon taps out. The so-called beast admits defeat and walks off. Meanwhile, Bomi is scrolling through Hoban's video. At the same time, some random dude calls her cute and asks for her number. She shuts him down, carrying 30 Pakode burgers like it's nothing. The guy begs again, but she brushes him off. He sulks, grabs his order, and leaves. Her friends whisper that he shows up daily, even though they told him to back off. He just doesn't get the hint. Bomi thinks back to the day Pak asked for her number and remembers how Hoban stepped in to save her. Now she feels guilty for leaving Hoban to fight alone. Later in the market, huge slabs of meat come crashing down. They're so heavy that no one can budge them. Out of nowhere, the same creep from earlier strolls in and casually lifts a 200-kilo chunk like it's a pillow. People gasp, saying that's Mangi Huan, the famous wrestler. Another adds disbelief. How the hell is he even lifting something that heavy? Tamangi smirks when he hears Taeyeon lost and viral hit is blowing up. If beating Hoban means instant clout, he wants in. Back on the other side, Hoban and Snapper keep praising Gayul's editing skills. Snapper shakes his head, saying one back kick from Taeyeon had him hospitalized, but Hoban looks perfectly fine. He wonders if he should have pretended to be half dead too. Then he admits something bothers him. Taeyeon used to bully everyone, but there was something different about him. Maybe he wasn't completely rotten. Snapper roasts Hoban's stupidity, but admits he saw Taeyeon get emotional. He's left thinking if their paths will cross again. Rumors spread fast. People keep talking about how Taeyeon still looks hot even after fainting. Some say if he cashes in now, he could grab 200,000 subs instantly, but it seems he's too clueless to use it. Someone flips their opinion completely, saying Yeon is trash, his looks aren't worth a damn. Meanwhile, Gail is quietly writing down the things she wants to change about herself, but her classmates decide to be jackasses and prank her. One of them mocks her, saying she reacts like an old man. They laugh about recording it, though even they doubt it'll get views. When Gail begs them to delete it, one of the boys shoves her and tells her to shut it, threatening to upload it right away. A girl steps in, telling them to stop tormenting her, warning what if Hoban shows up. Another boy mocks the idea, pretending to shake in fear. Another girl adds to the joke, saying what if he actually comes and pulls that move where he gets hit but doesn't feel pain. They all burst into laughter at her words, enjoying the cruelty. Gail fires back, saying even pro fighters use that technique, and starts throwing punches. One of the boys leans his head forward, mocking Hoban's usual move. A girl grabs Gaul and sneers, telling her to stop acting cute because it's disgusting. She mocks her speech, saying if she can't even talk properly, she should start over from scratch. Gayul breaks down, saying she is trying but failing, and asks what they actually want from her. Tears spill as she insists she isn't pretending to be cute. The girl scoffs, saying her crying makes them look like villains. Snapper steps in and calls them immature, demanding how first years dare to bully Gail. Gayul notes to herself that while Snapper has influence as a second year, he is worthless in actual fights. They prove her right by throwing him down. One boy smirks, saying seniors don't scare them. Gayul protests that they should respect their seniors, which only makes them laugh harder at Snapper. Then a boy blames her for everything and raises a hand to hit her, but Hoban steps in and stops him. The boy eyes Hoban, mocking his small size, calling him cuter in real life. He rants about how unfair it is that kids look so weak these days, admitting he doesn't understand it, but insists he has to act. He says Snapper deserved to be hit and challenges Hoban to fight. A girl cuts in, accusing Hoban of faking his win against Yeon, saying there's no way it was real. The boy doubles down, saying both of them are arrogant. Hoban thinks to himself that fight was real, and these clowns are nothing compared to Yeon. He decides to use a dangerous line like Tan and suddenly asks for 100 yen. They hand him the coin and burst into laughter, mocking him for copying Yeon, saying his words will never carry the same weight. Hoban realizes for the first time how powerful delivering a line at the right time actually is. The boy launches an attack, forcing Hoban to prepare to fight back. But before it escalates, Kim walks in. The boy instantly screams like a little girl at the sight of him. Later, Hoban admits he should have asked Kim to stay from the start. Kim had handled Pak before, but this time chose not to step in. Hoban feels relieved things didn't turn into a bloodbath, realizing Kim only fights when it's absolutely necessary. He reflects on Gayul's situation, admitting she has to endure too much. The bullies think they're cool, but they're nothing but pathetic kids hiding behind cheap pranks. Hoban overhears they run a YouTube channel. They brag about being a comedy crew who prank strangers, and what stings more is that despite being jerks, they're popular. Later, his own thoughts start eating at him. He He asks himself why he didn't punch the ones tormenting Gayul. He just stood and watched. He admits that even if he lost, he should have at least fought. He remembers his own anger. It wasn't only about them mocking Gayul, but also because they mocked his attack. He apologizes in his mind, telling Gayul he was too scared back then, but promises if he gets another chance, he'll show her how to deal with people like them. That evening, Hoban dozes off. In his dream, Kim's voice echoes, telling him to call B. Hoban thinks it sounds simple, but after the humiliation of that day, he wonders how he could ever face her again. Gayul is buzzing with excitement just thinking about Hobin, and she keeps firing off messages to him. Meanwhile, Mungi shows up again, trying to bother Bomi. She feels a wave of relief when he finally leaves, but the way his eyes stick to her makes her skin crawl. Her shift runs late tonight, and the thought of him waiting outside lingers in her head like a bad hangover. Hoban strolls in and casually asks for the strawberry parfait they couldn't share last time. Bomi points out that their shop doesn't even make parfaits, serves him his order, and walks off. He sits there, convinced she's furious, but deep down, he knows it's his own fault. He ghosted her for 2 months, got himself blocked, and now wonders if she'll ever talk to him again. He decides to eat what she brought him and slip out quietly because the reasons behind his silence are something she'll never understand. Then Bomi notices the scribbles on his hand, all the lines he prepared just to talk to her, and she bursts out laughing. He calls her out for it, swearing he saw her dimples. She denies it, but he keeps pushing, teasing her until she tries to shoo him away. He smirks, saying the cafe is empty anyway, and then flips the topic to her life, her weight, her new editor, and whether the rumors about her being a girl are true. Bomi admits the editor is a first-year named Gayul Lee. Hoban immediately asks if she's cute, begging for details. Right on cue, Gayul barges in, demanding an answer to the very question. She makes it worse by shoving a gift at Bomi, insisting that the so-called boss can't shut up about her and never has the guts to confess properly. Hoban nearly chokes, snapping at her, but she doubles down. Bomi, amused, finally tells him to message her. Hoban acts clueless, but it's obvious he heard her, and that tiny crack of hope spreads across his face. Gayul, meanwhile, claims she needs to leave because her nail hurts, but mutters to herself on the way out, realizing how lame that excuse sounds. She storms off, kicking a pole, half singing and half crying over her little heartbreak. The next day, Bomi finds herself chatting with Hoban again, only to be pranked by her classmates. They trip her, record her clumsy fall, and then ask if they can post it online. She's left sitting there, totally lost, unsure if she just became the star of a viral joke. Hoban shows up with his friends and runs into Gayul's classmates. The first thing tossed around is how many subscribers those guys have. Nobody knows for sure, but the guesses fly. Someone swears it must be over 700,000. Snapper cracks a dumb idea about tossing snakes at people for clicks, and instantly gets roasted for having 0 brain cells. The classmates explain that it is not just one prank, it is a whole variety show, carefully planned so viewers never get bored. They put real thought into their content. Hoban and his crew, of course, get fired up and decide they should try something similar. The plan? Fight 3 times a week. He loses his chill and starts choking the rapper while Gayul quietly studies their videos, muttering about messy editing. Right then, the comedy crew walks in and Gayul nearly shits himself. The crew teases them, calls them weak, and one girl flexes that she alone could wipe them out. Another guy stares at Hoban's face and claims it makes him want to throw a punch. Snapper mutters about wanting to crawl into a hole, which only fuels the laughter. The crew sneers at their 190k subs, tells them to stay in their lane, and leaves. Hoban fires back, swearing that one day they will shock everyone with a prank. Snapper reminds him that pranks are no joke. Unlike films, there is no script, no safety net. One bad slip can wreck lives. But Hoban's attention drifts when Bomi's message pops up. He learns she is in the hospital with an injured leg. Bomi explains what happened. Some idiots pulled a snake prank on her. She stumbled, and a car nearly hit her before braking just in time. The injury is minor, but the insult stings more. The pranksters laughed and filmed while she was on the ground. That pisses Hoban off. Hurting someone and then laughing at it is a different level of trash. Bomi brushes it off as a small wound, tells him she will be fine, and wonders why he is apologizing in the first place. He sends Bomi a message telling her to forgive him for not showing up sooner and asking her to rest and heal. On the way back, he keeps thinking that it feels pathetic he cannot even talk to her face to face. He messages her again, saying that he is leaving her there today since Kim is around to take care of her. Deep down, he admits to himself that losers like him follow an unwritten rule. They never act strong in front of the real strong ones. Now he says he doesn't need to stress about new content anymore. He didn't even realize their next opponent was this close. He hypes himself up, ready to go after the so-called comedy crew, promising they are going to crush them. Viral hit goes live. Meanwhile, Hoban watches Sam Duck's video, where Sam Duck explains how to take down multiple opponents. Back at school, Hoban mentions the new viral hit episode is about fighting groups of people at once. He asks why Hoban suddenly cares about this, since he always claimed to be scared of fighting. Maybe it is because Bomi got hurt, but this situation is different from Taeyun's. This time, there are 3 opponents. Hoban doubts Hoban can win. Hoban admits he is not going to fight because there is no way he can beat them all at once. If he charges in, he will get destroyed. For the first time, he doesn't even trust Sam Duck's video, which feels way too exaggerated. Instead, he decides he will take revenge in another way. Elsewhere, the leader of the comedy crew brags that one of their videos hit 5 million views and another hit 3 million. They expect more than 2 million yen this month, which makes everyone cheer like they just won the lottery. One guy asks what their next content should be, and the leader says they need something really entertaining. A girl points to 3 people and asks what to do about them, but another boy brushes it off, telling them to just leave those clowns alone. Hoban whispers to his group, asking if they were spotted. They assure him no, since their tailing game is sharp, but he overheard them talking about the money. His friend teases him for only caring about cash, but Hoban insists that from what Bomi told him, their content is clearly scripted. The problem is they don't have proof. Then someone notices a detail. In one of the videos, the girl is crying out of fear, which fooled the audience. But the key clue is in the elevator buttons. The prank scene inside the elevator lasted 2 minutes, but in a 7-floor building, how could one ride take that long? The girl wasn't even pressing the button properly. It was all staged. Gale feels dumb for not catching something so obvious, but admits this happens often. When content is too entertaining, people forget to notice the details. That is exactly the trick many YouTubers pull with their scripted junk. They even drag in actors for their stunts. One clip shows cops chasing kids for smoking, but anyone with half a brain can see the setup. The police confirm they were there that day, but not for cigarettes. Someone had tipped them off about a wanted criminal, so they showed up. It's a slick move, using cops as unknowing props. YouTubers grind hard to make fake drama look real, all for views and quick money. With all this evidence, it's possible to expose them, but it still isn't enough. Rushing like during Paco's downfall won't cut it here. Solid proof is needed. Rumi steps in, pushing for a collab. She wants a prank where coffee gets dumped on a girl's shirt. It's all scripted, nothing to worry about. But memories of Bomi getting hurt because of the same nonsense still sting. He refuses, saying anyone chasing that cheap content can go join the comedy crew. Soon enough, Rumi joins them. Their leader lays out today's prank, throwing coffee on a senior. The senior plays along, then calls them out. He admits their game is scripted trash meant to milk dumb viewers. He says Pakgo's channel didn't crash because of violence. It crashed because the script leaked through. Violence is forgiven if it's funny, but once the audience smells lies, the channel dies. Office jobs are for suckers, because YouTube prints money faster. One of the boys brags about how easy it is to fool people. The leader shuts him down, reminding them that stupidity pays their bills, so no need to brag. Rumi refuses a cigarette, keeping them focused on content. They start planning their next attack, mocking Viral Hit by editing his fights to look staged. They brag about having more subscribers, claiming people will side with them. The plan is simple. Feed the audience fake drama, because no one cares about the truth. But one of them cracks. He admits mocking others is cheap, that someone always has to be the victim, and he doesn't want to play that part anymore. He tries to leave. The crew threatens him, saying they recorded him trashing the viewers and can ruin his channel. Rumi flips the table. She reveals she recorded them too, and already cut a deal with Hoban. Sending him their behind-the-scenes guarantees her a spot in his next stream. She apologizes for fooling them, but says Viral Hit's future burns brighter than theirs, even with fewer subscribers. Hoban, Gayul, and Snapper finally arrive. Snapper snatches the phone back from Rumi and keeps the livestream rolling. Rumi admits that making money with the comedy crew is tough, but she swears she'll never sink to scripted trash again. Hoban acknowledges her effort but points out that the bit where she insulted the viewers also went live. He brushes it off and turns his fire toward the comedy crew. They only survive on fake scripts, while he stands ready to face them raw. The next Viral Hit stream drops with the title How to Beat Multiple Opponents. As it kicks off, the comedy crew leader grows uneasy. Something feels off. The pacing, the tension, everything hits harder. He wonders how some beginner with no formal training can possibly take on multiple enemies. Sam Duck's words echo. Beating a crowd requires the 10 lessons he drilled into Hoban, and without them, an ordinary guy doesn't stand a chance. He calls it hopeless and walks away. But then another thought lingers. Maybe you can't crush them head on, but you can still come out on top by bluffing. In nature, the weak survive by faking strength. Mantis, gorillas, all pull the same trick. Bluff hard, look dangerous, and no one dares bite. Hoban channels that instinct. His smile vanishes, his tone sharpens. He carries himself like a man ready to snap, even admitting he's shaking so bad he might lose control. Snapper notices the shift. Hoban looks nothing like the guy he usually follows. He decides to play along and orders the comedy crew to drop their phone and walk. The rivals hesitate. The leader feels that pressure bearing down, the same weight Paco and Taehyun must have felt before losing. Hobin seems to tower larger with every passing second. But then, reality cracks. His shoelace comes undone. Sam Duck's warning cuts in like thunder. Never let them see through the bluff. If the mask slips, the whole game collapses. Hobin bends down, begging for his shoe back, already thinking his little act is about to crash and burn. Hobin takes off running, trying to shake off the comedy crew. For the first time in a fight, Sam Duke's voice is silent in his head. It is not that he forgot the training, it is that he let excitement take over, and that rush screws him up. This is the first time he is fighting without any video to guide him. He thinks about earlier, how he froze because he was too relaxed. But right now, it feels different. A punch comes flying, and Hoban blocks it clean, no injury. He snaps back with a brutal calf kick that lands hard. In that moment, he realizes he has leveled up. The comedy crew's leader mocks him, calling him an insect and wondering why the kick did not do much. Kim mutters that it is all over. Then someone points out the obvious. No normal kid can practice a single kick 10,000 times in just 1 month. But Hoban actually did. That one kick is enough to cripple someone, and his victims prove it as they collapse, unable to move, screaming in pain. Kim notices something odd. 2 guys are wrecked, but a third one freezes without even being touched. Lagan smirks and explains that the kid just taught them intimidation. The crew suddenly realizes they are staring at an alpha, and fear locks them in place. Their leader feels it deep in his chest, a mix of dread and adrenaline. His heart is pounding, not from romance, but from staring down death itself. He wants to fight, but his body hesitates. Before things can spiral, Gaul grabs a girl from the comedy crew and threatens to break her if they do not back off. The leader's confidence cracks, and he curses under his breath. With one of their own captured, he has no choice but to retreat. The crew backs away, forced to swallow the loss. That girl complains that she just got hit, and wonders how anyone can let the other girl walk away so easily. One guy fires back that if they hadn't held her back, they would have already won. Snapper then explains that the brawl with the comedy crew finally ends, but no one realizes that something dangerous is stirring inside Hoban. Hoban, in his own head, keeps thinking what the hell is happening to him. He wonders why fighting suddenly feels so damn fun, and admits it feels like he's about to lose his mind. Soon after, Viral Hit's new video goes up online. Snapper narrates that the comedy crew goes live, bows their heads, apologizes, and swears they will change. But luck isn't on their side. With so many people hating on them, they are forced to shut down their channel. Snapper adds that they had it coming because they pushed Gaul too far. Meanwhile, Viral Hit explodes to 210K subscribers, and for a moment, life looks normal again. Bomi walks home alone at night. Hobin messages her, telling her it's risky to head back alone since she once mentioned feeling followed. He reassures her, saying he's nearby and will make sure she gets home safe. She blushes, thinking how sweet it is that he actually cares. On the way though, she runs into Mangi. His eyes light up, and he starts acting weird around her. Bomi, annoyed, tells him to cut the act since it's just the two of them. But then Kim shows up, grabs her hand, and asks if this is the creep who's been following her. Mangi, pissed, seizes Kim by the neck and orders him to let go. Kim retaliates, pressing his hand into Mangi's chest, explaining that the first rule of fighting is to piss off the opponent. Mangi looks confused, asking if Kim is some Viral Hit fanboy. Kim smirks and tells him to find out for himself. Snapper explains that Kim's master is a beast of a man, champion across middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight, nicknamed the Smiling King of Ri. That same master discovered Kim, a prodigy known as MMA's super rookie, Monus Kim. Back in the fight, Kim grabs Mangi's hand and demands surrender, but Mangi casually lifts him with one arm. For the first time, Kim realizes just how freakishly strong this guy is. Mangi tries to smash him to the ground, but Kim slips away. Grinning that it feels like he's wrestling a wild boar. Excited, he decides to fight for real. Mangi shoves Bomi aside and marches toward Kim, yelling that pretty boys like him should just drop dead. Suddenly, Hoban rushes in, panicked because Bomi never replied to his texts. He charges in shouting, only to get caught by Mangi, who sneers and calls him cotton candy before slamming him to the floor. The narration cuts in, explaining that Syrium wrestling is an ancient Korean martial art, built on gripping belts and raw strength. Mangi, even at 17, already stood at the top of this sport, but what he loves more than wrestling is chasing girls. And what he hates most? Men, especially the ones who look good. There's too much hatred boiling in the air. And then that girl's boyfriend shows up with his crew to play hero. But Mangi wrecks them without breaking a sweat. In his head, he spits venom, saying he hates every guy who can enjoy romance, something he knows he'll never have. Back in school, Snapper is running his mouth, saying Mangi is nothing short of a monster. Some kids even whisper that he's a damn cyborg. Meanwhile, Mangi is working a part-time job at the market, like a beast pretending to be human. Snapper keeps roasting, telling the guy who got beat up that it's fine, at least he was beaten by a monster, so no shame in that. Kim had been around during the chaos, and Snapper admits if the cops hadn't stepped in, things would have turned way uglier. Hoban, though, is stuck sulking, thinking about how he got his face stomped in right in front of Bomi. For him, nothing feels worse. His friends poke at him, saying it doesn't matter. What was he going to do anyway? Fight Mangi like a packo of wolves? There's talk of the law of fear. If someone has already faced a massive terror, smaller fears don't even scratch them. The comedy crew had been a small scare. Mangi, though, is on another level, a nightmare Hoban has never faced before. Hoban admits he doesn't think he can fight him, and honestly, that's the smart move. If Mangi picks someone as his enemy, they're as good as dead. They tease that Tyan only fought Hoban calmly because he looked cute. But comparing a human to Mangi is like sending someone to wrestle a wild boar. It's suicide. Better call the cops if you ever run into a beast like that. Snapper tries to keep it quiet, but Mangi ruins everything by posting a photo of him towering over Hoban with a smug caption saying he defeated Viral Hit. Now the internet blows up, and everyone starts spinning fake stories, tearing into their pride. Snapper groans that he wanted to bury the whole thing, but the audience is hungry for blood. They're demanding a revenge match. Gayul nervously wonders if that means their boss has to fight Mangi again. Even viewers keep spamming the same question in the comments. Snapper promises to delete the comments, but he still pulls Hoban aside, begging him not to do anything stupid. He reminds him that if he wants to keep NewTubing, staying alive is the top priority. This isn't just a risky fight, it's the kind of fight that could end with a coffin. Hoban listens, but something feels heavy in his chest. Snapper releases a video explaining the fight, and the public suddenly flips to Hoban's side. On paper, this should be good. No fight necessary, more support rolling in. But inside, Hoban feels restless, almost sick. He knows why. Bomi had told him not to fight, but he can't stop thinking, if he doesn't take Mangi down, what happens to her? Will Mangi keep tormenting her? The thought eats at him. He realizes he's more unsettled than Bomi herself. Finally, he admits to himself, it's time to distract his head, maybe watch something. But deep down he knows this isn't over. He keeps scrolling through random videos until one from Samduck pops up, where Samduck goes on about how to take down a wrestler. Hoban stares at the screen, thinking this sounds ridiculous. Beating a wrestler isn't some beginner-level trick. A newbie with zero skills might get lucky, choking out a regular fighter by accident, but wrestling is a whole different beast. That's why he made this video. To explain exactly that. Not because strikers are weaker, but because wrestling is its own nightmare. Even Samduck never posts a guide on how to beat a wrestler. Hoban admits if he fought one seriously, he'd probably end up broken all over. Still, something inside him feels off. Fear is chewing at him, yet he can't pull away. The rush of fighting keeps flooding back, his chest tight like emotions stuck in his throat. He thought it was just about Bomi, but no, this feels deeper. By morning, Snapper gets a call from him. Snapper brags about handling everything, saying Hoban doesn't have to fight Mangi anymore. But Hoban drops the bomb. He is still fighting Mangi. Snapper loses his mind, but Hoban explains. That heavy chest was adrenaline, fear-pumping hormones, turning him wired. Some people even get addicted to it, chasing that rush. Now he's one of them. He doesn't just want to fight, he craves it. Meanwhile, Robin sizes up Mangi, knowing this won't be some casual spar. He mocks him, clowning with nicknames, poking at him like Kim used to. To Robin, the fight feels like raw entertainment. To Mangi, it's just another headache. Samduck later starts his fourth lesson, laying it out plain, how a rookie could possibly take down a strong wrestler. At the same time, Snapper chews Hoban out for being brain dead, while Tyan smirks, telling him he doesn't stand a chance, but spotting that same fire in his eyes as before. Hoban goes to meet Yan and begs to learn the Taekwondo back kick, desperate for a knockout weapon. Yan laughs at the audacity, reminding him he already promised to kill him if they crossed paths again. Then Yan blasts him with a brutal back kick, nearly splitting him in half. The bag saves him, but the pain lingers. Hoban realizes the first time Yan kicked him, it was held back. Today's strike was the real thing. Yan tells him this isn't content, this is life or death, and demands Snapper to show up. But Hoban insists he's alone. He just came to learn. He refuses to leave empty-handed, swearing that Taekwondo is the strongest. Out of every beating he's ever taken, nothing hurt more than Taekwondo. That's why he begs Yan to teach him. Snapper keeps trying to knock some sense into him, muttering that this idiot has lost the plot. He says he tried to hold him back, but the fool is still charging ahead like he owns the place. No one knows if he even has a plan or if he's just winging it again. Maybe he's cooking up another dumb trick like last time. Hoban suddenly goes for a calf kick on Mangi, hyping himself up on adrenaline, acting like this rush is what he lives for, but the kick lands with all the effect of smacking a brick wall. Mangi doesn't even flinch. Hoban keeps hammering those kicks, but it feels like kicking a truck. He starts realizing how badly he messed up showing up here. His legs are the ones hurting, not Mangi. Sam Duck butts in with his commentary, explaining that the wrestlers are built like anchors. They've trained to plant their toes and hold the ground forever. His advice is simple. If anyone meets a beast like that, just run. Hoban, finally catching the hint, begins retreating backward, cursing himself for letting emotions and adrenaline cloud his brain. Mangi laughs, impressed at how fast Hoban can backpedal. Snapper points out that Hoban has leveled up. He's running while keeping his eyes glued to the opponent. He claims this is part of Hoban's plan, like when he ran from the comedy crew before beating them later. A Cyrium wrestler is still human, Snapper insists. So those calf kicks will pay off when the guy starts running. The chat explodes. One subscriber agrees, saying Mangi will slow down, while another roasts them all, reminding them that Cyrium basics include insane running drills. Then Mangi bolts forward at full speed, boasting that he runs 30 kilometers a day. Hoban manages to sneak in a punch to the face, but Sam Duck cuts in again, saying running from a Cyrium fighter is suicide. These monsters train by sprinting through sand, and when any creature runs, that's when the body is most vulnerable. Hoban remembers that lesson, but before he can use it, Mangi grabs him and slams him down. He starts wondering why Mangi didn't crumble from his own reckless speed. He recalls people once calling him cotton candy, but there's nothing soft about this man now. Sam Duck shakes his head, saying no rookie can ever beat a Cyrium wrestler. Hoban admits to himself that without real skill, he's screwed, but he has one, the baseball choke. He lunges for the neck, but Mangi blocks him easily, his massive frame too thick to grapple. Hoban panics, realizing none of his tricks work here. Mangi growls that touching his head means punishment. Maybe the head is the only weak spot, maybe not even Sam Duck knows. Hoban swings a fist into it, but all it does is piss Mangi off. The wrestler snatches him up and plants him with a brutal front suplex that rattles the ground. Hoban lies there, thinking this fight is nothing like the one against Peck. This opponent is in a different league. A regular man has no chance of beating a Cyrium fighter. Snapper is in tears, cursing himself, saying this is why he tried to stop Hoban, because stepping into this fight is suicide. But then he notices something off. Mangi is holding Hoban's protective gear in his hand. That means Hoban is standing up now, with no shield between him and a monster. Snapper begs him to stop, saying the fight is done. He has no protector left and no way to win. But Hoban answers with fire in his eyes, saying strikers are never weaker than wrestlers. Tyon steps in, admitting he is right, that none of them are weak, and Hoban belongs in that circle too. Then it flashes back to Tyon's past. He once raged in the dojo, complaining that it had turned into a daycare, kids scribbling homework instead of learning kicks. His master told him MMA killed Taekwondo's future. Nobody wanted to train it, nobody could make a living from it. Tyon argued, saying if he won the next tournament, the master should dedicate everything to Taekwondo. He swore he would beat MMA fighters with pure Taekwondo and prove its strength. That fire carried forward into Hoban's training. Tyon gave him his own uniform, and even then Hoban thought this guy looked like he could swallow him whole. When he started running backwards as part of training, he wondered if Tyon was teaching him or just setting him up to bully him. But the lesson was clear. Learn the back kick, and when the chance comes, aim straight for the solar plexus. Back in the present, Hoban unleashes the move, but instead of the solar plexus, his kick smashes straight into Mangi's groin. The entire place freezes. Snapper mutters that he never even thought of that, but a win is still a win in street fighting. The livestream explodes, 30,000 viewers piling in as Hoban suddenly looks like the one holding the edge. But Mangi is built different. Even after taking a nuclear-level kick to the groin, he doesn't flinch. He snatches Hoban up and plants him with a brutal front suplex. Hoban can't believe it. His thoughts spiral, realizing even after hitting the guy's most vulnerable spot, nothing works. He feels the loss creeping in. Knowing if his body touches the ground for good, it's all over. Desperate, he grabs Mangi's hair for leverage, but the crowd gasps. The hair comes off in his hands. It is a wig. The reveal shocks everyone. At that exact second, Viral Hits stream surges again, comments flooding in faster than anyone can read, all 30,000 viewers losing their minds. After that wig incident, for the first time ever, the livestream chat goes dead silent. No jokes, no trolling, just stunned silence. Later, Hoban, Mangi, and Snapper are sitting together, all of them looking like someone just stole their souls. Hoban apologizes, telling Mangi he hopes his hair grows back soon soon and asks him not to lose hope. Mangi admits he worked his ass off just to impress people, grinding his way into the subclass. But no matter what, the better-looking guys in lower ranks always got more attention. He says people only ever called him fat and scary, and before he goes completely bald, he just wants to find a girlfriend. That impatience eats him alive sometimes. Then he pulls out a bottle and says he is popping hair growth supplements. According to him, the whole mess was just one big misunderstanding. Snapper pushes him a little, asking why he even picked a fight with Kim. Mangi explains that he thought Kim was stalking Bomi and wanted to step in for her. Snapper groans, saying he understands the impatience but points out how terrified Bomi looked back then. Mangi shrugs it off, saying his idol taught him in Lesson 3 that girls like powerful guys. He worships this so-called teacher who apparently dated 10,000 women and claims that's where he learned everything. Hoban and Snapper finally realize Mangi isn't actually a bad guy, just a lonely giant with zero social calibration. Then Mangi looks at them, voice breaking, and asks if they really think he'll ever get a girlfriend. Both of them reassure him, saying one day he will, and all three end up bawling together like drunks at a karaoke bar. A moment later, Mangi spirals again, convinced nobody will ever love him. They remind him he already has friends and his journey has just started, but he still cries harder. Hoban jokes that the livestream should just end on Mangi's sobbing face. Meanwhile, Kim Bomi and Taehyun are watching the video together, laughing and feeling lighthearted. Taehyun is so hyped he goes back to practicing. Paco is watching too, quietly observing, and Gayul, who is editing the video, ends up crying after hearing Mangi's story and even whispers a small prayer for him. When the edit goes live, the video explodes with 3 million views and their channel rockets up to 220,000 subscribers. Snapper, of course, is already counting imaginary stacks, bragging that all of this success is thanks to his brilliant planning. He claims Hoban will make piles of cash while he keeps polishing his resume, swearing he'll be a big-time movie director before he even turns 20. But then his expression changes, as if something just went wrong. The next day, Hoban feels like life is finally on his side. He can talk to Bomi every day, money problems are fading, and his loan is almost paid off. For once, he is actually happy, but at home, his mom starts poking around, asking if he got a girlfriend and why the loan shark stopped calling. He tries to brush it off, telling her he just got a good part-time job and makes solid money from it. Inside, though, he knows he can't tell her the truth, that her son is literally getting paid to take punches. She says if that's the case, she'll visit his workplace one day. He panics and tells her not to bother, but then she remembers the nurse wanted to see him. He heads there and gets the best news of his life. His mom's surgery date is set. They found a donor. If it goes well, no more dialysis. Hearing that, Hoban breaks down, crying tears of relief. The nurse comforts him, telling him it will be fine, but warns the surgery will cost about 2 million won. Hoban promises he'll find a way. He runs to share the news with Bomi, who lights up with happiness. He thinks about how he can text her every day now, how money doesn't scare him anymore, and how he finally isn't alone, because now he has real friends. Hugging Snapper, he admits he has never been this happy in his life.